8 years ago, Decatur's video production students stepped into the world of broadcast journalism. With a makeshift set and PowerPoint graphics, the crew produced the very first day. We've come a long way from those early 14-minute shows that were projected on a screen during lunch. This is our 50th show, and we're excited to celebrate this milestone with you. I'm Demi Wright. Welcome to The Deck.
For our 50th show, my partner Molly Emma O'Neill and I produced several segments to show you how the deck got started and how it has evolved. You'll be surprised at what they used to include on the old shows. This is The Deck Rewind.
Video production was really born out of a grant that was meant to sort of provide opportunities for students who had struggled in school. And I said I would love to try to start something with video production, not because I had any background, because it sounded fun, literally, just because I thought it would be fun.
The decision to start doing The Deck was a collaboration between Mr. Reese wanting to venture more into broadcast media and the students wanting to have more of a career-oriented or at least goal-oriented production.
I think there was a sense of we're starting something, and it felt legitimate even though we knew that we were so beginner.
When The Deck first came out, a lot of people were slow to catch on to it.
Our set, we had a local realtor who donated money to the Decatur Education Foundation, helped us to, he actually paid for it and came in and constructed with us a hard wall set, meaning a big plywood wall on which we got a bunch of foam core and painted it like different shades of blue. It was pretty basic. There were cords and cables all over the floor, so whenever you were walking through, you had to watch that you didn't step on an extension cord or pull a cord out of a teleprompter.
So I got to play around a lot on the editing machines. I can't remember what they're called, but they were like super giant dinosaurs.
After time, they started to show us that they really did enjoy it. And we were lucky to have televisions in every classroom. Once those were installed, we had a closed circuit system that would allow us to show it through the library. So it's really kind of been up and up since then.
Decatur's school system is growing. Enrollment here is projected to double at the high school within the next 5 years. That means construction, and architects are already proposing designs, some of which you see behind me. Bulldozers have already broken ground for Oakhurst Elementary's addition. My partner Carson Greer and I visited the site.
As we began winter break, Oakhurst Elementary demolished the left wing of their school to prepare for a new addition of classrooms because of the growth of students.
We're out of space for the boys and girls. And we may be out of space again within a couple of years, but right now we're hoping that this new addition will help us to accommodate all the families that really and truly would love to be in city schools of Decatur.
So this year, what we were able to do is put some trailers over there, some learning cottages over there, but also prepare for the addition of 8 classrooms.
The design philosophy, I guess, was to match the existing building as much as possible. So that new wing should kind of mirror the design intent of the existing building, which obviously is more of a historical look.
Our enrollment back in 2009-2010, we had 312 students. Now we have 406 students.
We received SPLOST funds to finance the projects, and then construction, the design process went underway, and now we're at the point of construction.
The community, honestly, since we've been here, has been awesome. I mean, everyone's really interested and involved, wants to, know a lot about what's going on with the projects. I know that City Schools of Decatur, before we came on board, did a good job of kind of informing everyone through the community forums of what the plan was going to be and what things were going to look like moving forward.
I think right now it might be a little disturbing for all the neighbors to have the trucks and the construction in the building, but I think that having this school right in the middle of a neighborhood really does bring the community closer, and to see that it's growing and it's a great school to be at and everybody's excited to be here, I think it only does good things for the community.
Being able to add on classrooms. Originally it was just 4 classrooms. Now it's going to be 8. And I think that's going to give the kids a better opportunity to learn, and more kids, because City of Decatur is growing.
With the growth that Oakhurst is experiencing, those who are affected still see the bright side of the construction.
He told me he loved the move. He said it was fun, and that he enjoys reading. He enjoys his numbers and compass and Spanish and music and PE. Those are his favorite things here at Oakhurst. He's having a ball with that, and he loves all his teachers.
For The Deck,
music,
I'm Carson Greer.
Music's good.
We'll post the school board's plans on 310.org so you can see for yourself what floor plans and additions may be coming to the high school as early as 2015.
We've posted dozens of exclusive stories on our Convergence website, 310.org. Childhood obesity is a national problem and a focus of our First Lady Michelle Obama's. Sophomore Kiala Bailey actually travels around Georgia with her dance crew to promote healthy living for overweight children. You may recognize the group's choreographer, Jason Kroom, from the TV show America's Best Dance Crew. Almost 10% of the student body participated in Anything Goes. For Leah Parker, Miriam Marrakesh, and Harper Ford, the musical put them one step closer to their dream career. A high school Marathi band isn't something you see every day, but sophomore Richard Newsom formed one for his IB personal project. They played at 5th Avenue for their final performance. These stories and more are ready for you now at 310.org.
April's not only prom season, but it's also Alcohol Awareness Month. The national group Mothers Against Drunk Driving has launched a campaign to end drunk driving crashes. My partner Corey Anderson and I discovered how the organization hopes to get a Georgia bill passed that could potentially save lives.
According to MADD, every day in America, another 27 people die as a result of drunk driving crashes.
The mission of MADD is to eliminate drunk driving, support the victims of this crime, and to prevent underage drinking. We're not an organization that most people choose to join. Most of the people who join our organization, it's because they either lost a loved one or they survived a crash, and that was the case in my family. On March 1st, 1996, my mother, Maria, and my sister, Jennifer, and my sister's fiance, Eric, they were all hit and killed by an underage drunk driver. The core of it is that people choose to drink and then they choose to drive. And it's that action by choosing to operate under the influence.
On March 11th, members of MADD rallied at the state capitol to support a potentially life-saving bill.
Most people think about MADD, they think someone's being killed. They don't forget about surviving. But the other reason why we will be on Legislative Day, the primary one, is to explain ignition interlocks. And basically, there is a device now that someone who has a DUI could put on their car, and this would keep their car from starting if they're under the influence of alcohol.
The interlock would be installed on the cars of first-time drunk drivers, and a supporter of the bill is Devin Holmes, whose mother and brother were killed by a repeated drunk driver.
My mom and my little brother, first of all, they were two unique individuals. First of all, my little brother, he was only 3 years old. He loved football, he loved sports. He just loved being in my back pocket. And my mother, she was always on go. She was always working, and one thing I can say about her was she was ambitious, and that's what I take from her the most. It affected me. It affects me because I would never be able to show the ropes to my little brother. You know, I wanted him to show him the world. You know, a drunk driver took away the relationship that, you know, I feel like I could have had with my mom right now. You know, working all the way up to, I'm almost 21, and you know, I see my peers and the relationship that they have with their mothers. Sometimes I wish that it didn't happen to me. You know, I ask all the time, why me out of all people? And the only thing that I want to do is make sure, or I hope for the best, that it doesn't happen to anybody else.
Holmes joined MAD to share his story and raise awareness against drunk driving to prevent it from happening again.
Call a parent, call a friend, call someone. It is better to be yelled at by your parent at 3 o'clock in the morning or the next day than for your parent to have to go and identify you at the morgue.
Hagen has simple advice for students concerned with the drunk driver.
So many teenagers get into the car. Just don't get in the car. That's the most important thing you can do to protect yourself.
For The Deck, I'm Awal Sidi.
Losing a loved one to a drunk driver is truly terrible. Although their situation is very different, sophomores Harper Ford and Ariane Jensen have been dealing with the absence of a loved one in their lives. Both of them have a parent who lives overseas.
When parents leave, it really affects the child. We're uncertain, we're very insecure, we don't know where we're supposed to go and how we're supposed to function without these two people who are supposed to hold us together and make us who we are.
Sophomores Harper Ford and Ariane Jensen both have one biological parent living outside the United States. Harper's father currently lives in China, while Ariane's mother lives in Germany.
I talk to my mom maybe once every 6 months. It's not that often. The time zone's really hard.
We have this awesome app called WeChat, and it's sort of like texting only across country borders. And so we text and we can send photos. That's how I see pictures of my little sister. You can also like do this thing where you hold down and you can like speak into it, and then it'll send your voice too. So it's a little bit easier to maneuver than Skype.
My father, he wasn't both parents. He dropped me off at my aunt's for 1.5 years when I was 5 and went up to Maine and not a single word for 1.5 years. And then abruptly after I started calling him my aunt and uncle, mom and dad, he came back and took me away from them. And so all these people leaving me has really affected me in negative ways. I get panic attacks. It's just really hard.
First, I was very, very sad and very angry because I had this sort of feeling that he left me because he knew me, and it's not like it's not like giving a baby up for adoption. It's, you know me and you still chose to leave the country and not really have all that much contact.
Visiting back and forth has been tricky for Ariane, only getting to see her family in Germany once or twice a year. Harper, on the other hand, hasn't even had the chance to visit her family in China yet.
Other than seeing him, I have no desire to visit China. None at all. Great Wall, that's great. No, thank you.
Recently, I've been going every Christmas.
Moving to Germany with her mother was an option for Ariane, but was not the right decision.
And sometimes I've thought about living with my mom, but I'm happy where I am.
For The Deck, I'm Emma Wheeler.
My name is Claire Farley, and I was a deck crew member from 2004 to 2006.
This is Mason Ray. I was on the deck from 2007 to 2008.
2005 and 2006.
2010 to 2012.
2006 and 2009.
2009 to 2011.
2009 and 2010.
I was part of the very first deck crew in 2004 and 2005.
2011.
2005 and 2006.
I was on the deck from 2007 to 2010, and I had such a blast that now I'm studying broadcast at Georgia College.
I'm studying here in Valencia, Spain through Florida State University.
I also serve on the marketing team by making videos using the skills I learned with the deck.
I'm currently a medical student at Emory, and I'll be graduating in May of 2014.
I'm currently a teacher at the Atlanta School.
Currently I'm working in and out of Atlanta, New York, and LA shooting music videos.
Congratulations to the deck crew and Mr. Reese for creating your 50th episode.
Happy 50th deck.
Happy 50th deck.
Happy 50th episode, deck.
And I just want to give a shout out to the deck crew. Happy 50th deck, Decatur. Enjoy your 50th deck, Decatur.
Happy 50th episode to all of you guys. Congratulations on creating an awesome show.
Happy 50th deck, Decatur High.
I wish you all a phenomenal 50th deck.
Dealing with dyslexia is challenging, but so is AP Lit. My partner Max Waterhouse and I found out how senior Andrew Beck conquers them both.
AP Lang has a reputation for being one of the hardest English classes at Decatur. So how can you succeed in such a difficult class when it's nearly impossible to read and write? Andrew Beck knows the answer.
When I look at a page of paper, I see individual letters. I don't see the words linked together.
Brains were not meant to process written language. That's an acquired skill that we got once the printing press came and made print really accessible. It requires you to do visual processing. It requires you to use the part of your brain that processes language, and then also that gains meaning from things and understanding. And all of these components in a person with dyslexia, what happens is those pathways just aren't there. And so what we do as teachers is we help create them.
But he came home from preschool one day and said, the other kids can read No, David, no. And I can't. And that was when we started trying to figure out, what's up with this?
Parents, they never have said, you can't do this, you can't do that. And Miss Wade is the same attitude. Like, I mean, she said you could do anything you want, literally go get it. And on, I was really nervous at first in AP Lang because I was like, crap. Like, because I knew that it was going to be a struggle. And just having her being like, I don't expect the absolute beautiful writing, I expect improvement.
And he learned to use this technology, and through the technology, I can still remember in the meeting where it was recommended that he be an AP Lang. And I can remember thinking in my mind, this is amazing. We have a young man who can't read because of a disability. He can't write because of a disability, and he's being
behind it
recommended for AP Lang. He's pretty amazing. I was very proud.
We all know that Andrew needs to be able to, write complex papers on complex ideas in an organized way, which is significantly more difficult when you can't read it. He commented one time that a lot of times people think he's getting a break because, he'll have somebody to read to him or things like that. But I think the students sitting around him in English class realize he's got a much harder road than they have in some ways.
There are more people with dyslexia than you're aware of, and it can range from severe, where it's really hard for you to read, to somebody who reads and it takes them a little bit longer, but they can read. People with dyslexia can learn to read and can do it very well.
He's having to work much harder and concentrate to a much greater degree than the average bear does in the classroom.
It was not that long ago probably that people didn't know what dyslexia was, and probably they were just labeled as kind of dumb, and it's become recognized.
Dyslexia, it seems like some people believe it's a stumbling block for students. I say, if they're willing to go for it, go for it. I mean, for me, nobody's held me back.
For the deck, I'm Quinn Von Haney.
With the reopening of the rec center and the growth of year-round athletic leagues, Decatur strives to provide active living choices to its residents. My partner, Anita Renfro, and I take a look at the different ways to stay active in the city. The city of Decatur expresses the importance of living a healthy lifestyle in many different ways. Along with being a community with walkers and bikers, the city of Decatur provides programs for citizens to be more active through Decatur Active Living.
To get a lot of young kids, especially with all the families here moving into Decatur, we have kids playing what we call mini soccer and little kickers, kids like ages 4 and 5. We have kids playing tennis, Munchkin tennis is for that age group. But as far as adults, we have a lot of adults participating in our softball league. And in the past, we've had our basketball league.
Decatur Active Living doesn't only provide programs, but promotes businesses such as Pinnacle Fitness as well.
What we're doing with Decatur Active Living, we have our Decatur Biggest Loser Weight Loss Challenge. We want to help them understand that there are some things that they can do, whether it be fitness, nutrition, and other lifestyle factors, lifestyle changes that they can do to actually help extend their life, to better their health, and to become more fit.
Besides sports, opportunities to stay active are also provided through the school. Senior Ayana Hull has been a participant with the FitWit program for 3 years.
Well, I decided to do FitWit because, for one, I know that I am overweight and out of shape, and so I'm trying to get into shape and keep my weight at an even level or where I know that it's supposed to be, maintain it, stay healthy, stay active. And so the best way that I need to do that, because I'm not good at any sports, like I suck at sports, period, I figured that FitWit would be a pretty good fit for me.
For The Deck, I'm Brooke Pearson.
There's more on 310.org. Dealing with the death of a parent is hard, but Summer Cheek had to deal with that and more. Most of us know what catfishing is and how awful the outcome of such a small prank can be. But could you ever imagine it hitting so close to home? Unlike many of Decatur's dancers, Junior Kelsey Martin doesn't just dance for fun. She dances competitively for one of the #1 studios in Georgia while still juggling a demanding schedule of AP classes. Like the 310 Convergence page on Facebook so we can notify you when new stories post.
Whether you're a Tech or Georgia fan, or you only root for NFL teams, you know how serious football is. The team my partner Mary Adams and I will introduce you to uses the same rules as traditional football, but it's still radically different.
For 4 hours every Saturday morning, the Atlanta Phoenix team members gather on a field in Jonesboro to practice the great American sport of football. Like any other league, they use full contact and equipment. But unlike any other league, their players are all female.
We are full contact, full equipment.
You know, you coach a men, you know, been playing football since they were 5, so they think they already know it all. So I guess that was the easier part, is that, you know, when you talk, they listen.
It's kind of like we're the firewall to the program. We don't allow anything to come through the firewall.
I've always watched it growing up, a big NFL fan, but I just never had a chance to play before.
Due to the stigma of a woman being involved in a sport that's predominantly male, they were kind of uncomfortable being a part of that.
The team has been a part of the Women's Football Alliance since 2011. Before this and other full-contact women's football leagues were founded, women did not have the same opportunities as men to play the sport.
Nobody is saying that we should lower the standards, you know, that suddenly getting on a football team should be easier. You know, it simply should be equal opportunity.
The Atlanta Phoenix hopes to open up doors in the future for more young women to play what was formerly known as an all-male sport.
My whole dream for it all, just for it to grow so they can provide opportunity for other young females that may want to be involved in the sport.
I think we're breaking the stereotypes that women can play just as well as men can.
For The Deck, I'm Mary Adams.
The Atlanta Phoenix will play its first game of the season on April 7th at North Springs Charter High School. Purchase tickets on the team's website, atlantaphoenixfootball.com.
What do you do to show your Decatur pride? One sophomore has taken his IB personal project and turned it into an expression of hometown glory. My partner Demi Wright and I explore how For the City got its start and where Jack Brozek hopes to take it.
Sophomore Jack Brozek takes pride in his city, designing t-shirts with Decatur in mind.
For the City is a clothing company that I designed for my personal project, and I thought I was done with it, but then a lot of people asked me to buy it, and it just blossomed into something that was designs and a lot of other things.
Luke and Jack are proud of what they're accomplishing.
I think it's good that high school students we're able to create shirts and do something original that most high school students would never even think of doing.
It kind of makes me proud to see somebody that I know or even that I don't know just walking around wearing my shirt, and I feel like the Decatur aspect of it kind of gives the students who wear it an identity. It's not just something you can get at Urban Outfitters.
Decatur graduates David Bardis and Hank Samuels run Broken Window Theory, a t-shirt company in Atlanta. They've done what Jack is beginning to do with For the City.
Broken Window Theory was definitely tricky to get off the ground. What was really difficult for us was just like really crafting the brand. I would recommend really saving your money, like, you know, whatever you initially put in, make sure that you hold on to that as much as you can. Always remain like inspired by something, like always try and find a creative outlet. I think that's really awesome that, you know, a high schooler is doing that.
Jack looks into the future for his growing company.
Looking further down the line, I can envision stores and other things, like, for instance, For the City is looking at doing a booth at the Decatur Arts Festival, and so I think that little things like that will help build into a bigger process.
For The Deck, I'm Noemi Griffin.
Coming back here, seeing how the deck has changed, it's awesome.
I think what I'm really pleased with, though, is that the student body recognizes that the deck is something worth seeing. And they don't just chat it up during advisement when the deck is on most of the time, because I think they feel like, I'm going to see something I didn't know about my school, about students, about friends of mine, possibly about teams or clubs. And that makes them feel like there's some school spirit, because they're learning about their school, not from adults, but from their fellow students.
That very moment in which we had created something, we were leaving it. So the future of the deck was up in the air, and we were nervous about that. But I can see today, 50 episodes into it, that we left it in good hands.
What it reminds me of is how many hours have been spent, how many technical glitches have thrown us off at the last minute. So I'm really excited to think that every single one of those stories has a history. There's a story behind the story. It's, to me, part of the magic of this is that no one will know on the outside how much work went on to produce those individual stories in that overall show. But I know, and the crew knows, it's a real, it's a labor of love. You got to kind of be into it to put that much effort into it.
Prateada se esconder e só dourado aparecer.
We got more paradise to experience. So peace, love, one. Holla at your boy.
Well, this is Celia Willis signing out. You stay go, Decatur.
See you next time. For Daniel Gold and the rest of the crew, I'm Claire Farley.
Yeah!
Today, we've brought you news, features about the community, and personal segments about students. More than ever, our crew is committed to finding stories worth telling. Tell us how we're doing by leaving us comments on our Convergence website, 310.org. Enjoy your spring break, and we'll see you in May on The Deck.